Hey guys, welcome to another episode of 92 Diaries. We are your hosts, Miss Chardz.
I'm Juliet.
And I'm Fahana, aka Fee.
And today we are going to be talking about something that's really personal. It's called rose-colored glasses. And for anyone who doesn't really understand that concept, it's about sort of seeing a situation from a rosier aspect than it actually is. So we're talking about relationships really at this point, about being in a situation, about being in a relationship where it looks maybe great from your perspective of being in it, but from the outside it's not healthy, or there's something up. And I think at the points where you have your friends telling you stuff, then maybe that might be a situation. But we're going to talk about it and see how you guys feel, and we're going to share a few stories as well. Ain't that right, ladies?
Yeah.
Okay. So, who would like to go first about sharing the experience of being in a rose-colored situation?
I'll take the L, I'll go first.
Okay.
So, my previous relationship was about almost 5 years, and everything was great to start off with. No, there you see, those are the rose-colored glasses right there. Everything was not great. Everything was not great. I wanted to believe everything was great, and it wasn't great. He wasn't a horrible person or anything, just very selfish. And I decided to look past that and make excuses for him. And that is the beginning of the error of my ways. He obviously, in the beginning, didn't seem to want to commit to me. It's kind of like we just fell into a relationship, and that in itself is never a good thing. You don't ever want to fall into a relationship with somebody. You want someone to actually want you and you want them back. It shouldn't ever have to be a topic that's up for debate. It shouldn't really be something that someone's, or in my point of view, it shouldn't really be something that's that much of a big decision. If they say they want to date you for a period of time, that's different. But if they say that they don't know what's going on, let's just see what happens, then to me, that's wishy-washy. And you're allowing him to bring his wishy-washiness into your life and make your life all wishy-washy. Anybody got time for wishy-washiness in their lives, okay? So we were together all that time, and I remember thinking to myself, like, I've invested this XY amount of time into it. Do I really want to cut my losses now? Like, I've like shown him how committed I am. So eventually he's gonna turn around and like he's gonna change his ways and he's gonna do this. Ladies, when someone shows you who they are, believe it the first time you see it. Don't try and twist that into something that it is not. Because it is. If they're showing you that, if a leopard tells you it's a leopard, believe it's a goddamn leopard. It ain't no goddamn cheetah. Okay? So.
No, it could be. No cheetah shape.
So.
Yeah. Heard you.
To be fair, he could be telling you he's a cheetah, but really he's a leopard. But anyway, so I once again decided to overlook this, and I continued to put in the time and the effort. And do you know what? It was when I got to I was in the final year of uni, and he had already he was done, and all of my other friends were done. And at this point, I didn't really get to. This is the point in time where I didn't get to see a lot of my friends as I would have liked to, because we were all doing different things and we were all striving. Bearing in mind, we kept in contact quite well. But I remember calling Chardz and having a breakdown with her on the phone, like telling her everything that goes on behind closed doors, everything that I was holding in, everything that I was trying to make seem like it was okay. And I remember Chardz saying to me, like, Fee, you're not happy, and you don't sound happy. This is not healthy. What you've been doing for the last 5 years is not healthy. You've had on tunnel vision, and you need to do something about it. And in that moment, I literally, I had to push myself aside and say, like, I'm gonna end it. And I told my mom, because my mom knows everything, basically everything. My aunt as well. And my aunt was like, no, give it some time, firm it. But then we have to remember our parents come from a different generation, and their generation is endure. I am not from that generation. I don't have to endure anything. I'm young, I'm my early 20s. I don't care how much time I've invested into it. I'm going to take control of this situation for once in my damn life and not be a passenger. I'm going to take control and I'm going to end it because I think it's best for me. And I ended it, and it was so hard. And I think the thing that hurt the most was you end something with someone and you're expecting them to put up a fight. You're giving them that last glimpse of hope that maybe this will be that time that they fight for me. Didn't happen. You told me it's okay. Go. You
that
go.
just speaks volumes, doesn't it?
And that it really just reiterated to me now, like, not now, but then, if he wasn't gonna fight for me, he was never fighting for me.
Yeah.
He was never fighting for me, and I made him feel good, and I enabled his behavior, and I made him comfortable, and I added to his selfish behavior because I allowed it, and that has taught me so much. It's also made me very jaded when it comes to men. I very much have this, I need to be selfish too, and that's the wrong approach to have. There's nothing wrong with the person that I am, and I should be able to give freely. I just need to be able to pick and choose who I think is deserving of who I give freely to. So yeah, that's my situation in a nutshell, really. So
100%. I think having that, when you come up from that kind of situation, you do become that person's like, okay, I need to do this for me. It needs to be about me now, because you feel like you've given so much energy and effort to that person, so much resources, so much time, and like you feel like you've given all of you and you've lost you somewhere in the process. So you come out like, okay, I need to find me again. I need to do me. I need to be about me. I need to be more, caring of me, blah, blah, blah. And we take the whole like self-love to a different level, where it's not just like you're loving yourself or trying to find yourself anymore, but you're more like, okay, even in my next relationship, I need to put me first before that person. Do you get what I mean? And I'm not saying that thinking about how things affect you first before doing something is bad, but when you go into a relationship that should be about you and the other person, and you go into that relationship with a head-on of me first, me first, me first, you're not going to get anywhere, and it actually helps destroy your next relationship or your next situation. Even with friends or other relationships around you, you kind of still have that it's a different set of glasses on, it's black glasses where you don't see anyone else and you just see yourself, and you're just like, I need to do me first before the rest of the world exists.
I do think that when it comes to relationships, especially ones where we kind of have had those glasses on, I think it's important to think about the behaviors that we exhibit in those relationships and how we can try to in the future not sort of do them again. So I think maybe for me in my situation, it was literally a situationship, to be honest. It was quite weird actually, because to be fair, like in the beginning, it was like, oh, like, no, like it's okay, like we're not gonna be anything serious because that's not what we want. But I was fully lying to myself because I knew exactly what I wanted, but I just didn't think I was worthy of that. Hence, where I was willing to settle, because in my head, maybe I didn't recognize that I didn't know. Maybe I didn't recognize that I was worthy of like something committed, but in my head, I was like, I'm not ready to have anything committed, so I'm not gonna ask for that, I'm not gonna demand for it, whatever. Anyway, going along, I pretty much put this person on a pedestal. Even when they were telling me they have these character flaws or they have these traits that I later realized were a big thing, I refused to see them. I just saw it as, oh my gosh, like look how honest this person is being with me, like that only goes to prove how great of a person this person is. And I really began to sort of lose myself in that I stopped seeing myself as like I already had insecurities, but I think it got amped up even more because I was seeing this person as basically almost being perfect, and all I saw in myself was the fact that I wasn't. So for a lot of the time I didn't even feel like I deserved that person, which is a very strange thing to think of right now. So I always found myself in a position where I was overcompensating all the time, just sort of like doing the most, trying to always help her, and didn't like literally. He could have literally told me to jump and I would literally been like, how high, to where, what time, what place. Like it was a joke. And I feel like at the time I didn't see it that way, but now that I'm looking back in retrospect, I'm like, that's exactly what it was. And I think it was probably because when that started, I had put this person on this pedestal and I had put on those glasses, and I was just kind of like, yep, this is what I deserve. I don't deserve anything better, and I will never, ever in this life speak to myself that way again. Because there's no way you can tell yourself that because of a past situation that you've been in, or because of how you've acted in the past, or even though we feel like you don't necessarily all have all your shit together, that never ever negates how much you deserve in terms of what love you should be able to receive, or anything like that. Like, I think no matter what state you're in, you are always deserving of a love that is reciprocal, a love that is kind, a love that is willing to support you and help you grow. And I think, if I wish I could almost talk to myself like, you deserve that then, and I wish that you saw that. But I guess you live and you learn from the situations, really. And you know that hopefully the next time you'll be strong enough to not accept that shit again.
Absolutely. When you want to build from like situations like that, I think recognizing them is the most important, and it's difficult to recognize them when you do have these rose-colored glasses on. For me in particular, I kind of tripped into the situation. I feel like I came out from, and it's happened to me more than once, but I kind of, what I've noticed from both situations, that I came out from a relationship in which I was, maybe the relationship itself at that time was healthy, but I was heartbroken from the end of the relationship, or just not in a good place. And so when I tripped into my rose-colored situations, I wasn't looking for a relationship. I wasn't looking for a boyfriend or anything like that. But you know, I was kind of just being free, just being myself, or just doing what I wanted to do in whatever headspace I was in, which I do feel the headspace I was in probably wasn't the healthiest, because I was just kind of more on the side of wanting to reject any kind of situation. But when I had almost like kind of hardened my heart, or focused away from being in a relationship or wanting a relationship, I then found myself falling for someone, like, not easily or quickly, but like I fell deep for the person without really knowing it, and I couldn't catch my feelings or catch myself, because I wasn't looking for that, if that makes sense. Like, I wasn't focused on that, so it's kind of like it hit me from behind. I was focused on other things in front of me, so this feeling kind of hit me from behind. And once that feeling overcame me, I couldn't see anything else. I couldn't see like how behaviors such as Julie also said, behaviors that maybe weren't really helpful to me, or wasn't what I wanted for the future, or wasn't what I would actually take or deserve, or feel that I deserve in a relationship, and ended up being in some kind of relationship with this person, or situationship, or type, or relationship, whichever one you want to call it, a bit of both really, and just kind of would accept anything, because I was so overwhelmed by my feelings for this person, which caught me off guard. But it's like I was vulnerable, so vulnerable to not want to be in a situation that I ended up in a situation, if that made sense. And so my deep feelings for this person just kind of didn't allow me to look past, it didn't allow me to look at the flaws and the things that I would not normally accept. And I ended up, I then ended up accepting a lot of things that I would never normally accept, and allowing myself to be treated in a way that I did not want to be treated. I'm not saying everything was bad and it wasn't violent or anything that you may think in that sense, but it was just moral things, and things where I have a foundation for myself, and I have a moral code for myself, and I found myself bending those repeatedly in this situation, and it just was not. I look back and I say, this was not healthy for me, and this is not healthy, or this is not something that you would do, Chardz. Do you know what I mean? So or something that you wouldn't accept. But that's why I really emphasize on being focused a lot of the time, and focus on the things that you want, knowing what you want, being in the know. Like it's like being literate in a sense of your destiny, of your future. And the more that you continue to be present, and the more you continue to be literate about what you want and focus, people can't stir you off that journey so easily. For me, I noticed that it's the moments I tapped out of thinking about what I want and what my future holds, or the characters I'm looking for in a person. The minute I tapped out, I got hit by, a situation that you couldn't make head or tail of, and I accepted it because I wasn't focused on what I did want, if that makes sense. So I had good times, I've had not so good times, a lot of drama, a lot of mess in between, but my rose colored glasses was basically stemmed from the fact that I did not focus about what I wanted and what I would and would not accept, or focus on my moral code. At the time, I left my game behind and I left my body. I had an out of body experience. I left Chardz where she was and just floated. So my rose colored glasses came from that, and it also came from the feeling that I had developed for said person. So actually being in love with this person did not allow me to see things that I should have seen from the beginning, or identify that maybe this wasn't actually going to go somewhere, or it wasn't particularly healthy. Maybe if we started in a different way, or aligned our goals differently from the beginning, then maybe that would have been helpful. It may have been more of a healthy relationship. But from the way we started and went on, and maybe both of us at fault, but my own rose colored glasses and just accepting the things that I would not normally accept, I think it brought it to the point in which it just couldn't go anymore.
Yeah,
I do think it's quite interesting actually in how a lot of the time we blame, I've heard it quite a lot of the time. The English. I feel like I've heard it a lot in the past that people say love is blind, and they always talk about the fact that when you're in love you don't see things clearly. But I'm actually of the belief that it's not love that is blind. It's us. Like we're the ones who bring in the problems in that particular relationship, or it's not that and even if you don't bring in the problems, we refuse to see the problems that are there. So I think sometimes when it comes to that kind of thing, I do feel like we do kind of go in thinking, oh, these things are meant, if we overlook a few things, it's because love is blind. But I don't believe in that so much. But what do you guys think?
I believe it's just very difficult to remain objective when you've got feelings towards somebody. Like you said yourself, Jules, you held this person on the pedestal. I myself did the same thing. Chardz herself did the same thing. And when you put somebody on a pedestal, you want to see the best in them and you want to believe the best of them. Yeah. So it is very difficult to then try and deter yourself away from that, because to do that you're going to inadvertently cause yourself some pain, and you don't want to do that. It is human nature to protect yourself at all costs, and sometimes that might be just to stay in what is essentially an unhealthy relationship because you're not getting hurt, but at the same time you're still taking emotional hits every once in a while, or to then know you have to start off completely again from zero and then try and seek this same type of feeling you've got for this person with somebody else. Sometimes it stems from the fact that you can't even stand the idea of somebody else being the one who makes them happy, and it's not you, or you're not the one. And that's a big problem that us females have. We want to fix people. Like, we think if we fix them, they'll be forever grateful to us and want to stick with us, and that's not the case. Nobody asked you. Nobody said to you, please come into my life and fix my problems. So then, no, like,
you better take off your flipping cape, your apron, sis. You're not nobody's superhero. Like, stop it.
I personally don't think it's a fixing concept. I think it's.
I'm not saying it's a fixing. I know you care, but I'm just saying sometimes that can be the case. You take fixing. You take caring for somebody. Sometimes you kind of muddy the lines a little bit and think that automatically means that you need to come into the life and fix things for them, and that might not necessarily always be the case. But I'm not saying that is the case.
I think fix is the right word to make. I do feel like I can definitely think of situations in where I kind of went into it like thinking, oh, it's my job to help, assist, fix, adjust, and do all of these things in order to basically benefit this person. But really and truly, they never asked me. So when it's not appreciated and they're upset, but they never asked me. I'm there offering my services for free. They refused. They didn't refuse the service. They took it. Who's gonna say no to free helpful service? They're not stupid. But here I am, like, I'm not being appreciated. Nobody asked me.
Yeah.
Nobody.
All right.
Yeah, no, I do think the way Jules has explained it, I think it is more on that side, but I think it's like a caring nature, and I think that's why females do it all the time. They're like, okay, my job is to be a helper, like I need to care for you, I need to do this for you, I need to do that for you, and then it is to want to better them or better their life. I'm a bit anti on the fixing word, because I feel like there are people who want to fix people, and that's like, you want to change them for them to be a better person, and that's not for them, that's for you. Do you understand? So in that concept, but I think women in general want to be able to benefit your life or add value in some sense, and I feel like they feel it's their role, because as your helper, as your partner, they're supposed to bring you up and raise you. Do you know what I mean? Like bring you up and leave you better than they met you, or not leave you at all and just make you better.
I do think it's I think it's difficult though, because sometimes I feel like a lot of the time for some of us women, I know maybe I'm speaking from personal experience, you kind of jump into that role before even evaluating whether or not this person deserves this in the first place.
That's it. I think that is the main thing. You've literally hit it on the head. And I think that's a massive thing. You need to evaluate whether this person actually not even deserves it, but are they worth it? Because it's not everyone that, especially females out here, be acting like wifey. Oh, that comes onto a pet peeve. Sorry, be acting like wifey to guys who have not wifed you. Not even in terms of being married, but like even in a relationship, they don't claim you as your girlfriend, and yet you're acting like their wife. They didn't ask you. They haven't asked you, and you are doing the most, and that's good. Maybe you feel good about yourself for doing the most, yeah. But that's where your disappointment comes, because when this person doesn't show their appreciation, you've upset yourself. Yeah, you've upset yourself. But they didn't claim you. They never did. So why are you upset? Do you know what I mean? You've created your own situation, so you shouldn't be upset.
It's quite a difficult one. Like I think I've spoken about it a couple of times, like in the past, like when it comes to being in relationships with people who can be hurtful or can be emotionally or obviously physically abusive. And a lot of the time, I think sometimes as women, we can sometimes enable our partners, as Fee mentioned, to basically treat us badly, or we sort of reinforce the fact that actually, you treated me this way, and even though I don't like it, I'm going to accept it. I'm just going to keep it as it is. And I'm just going to accept it for what it is, because that's who you are. And I think sometimes when we enable those people, we kind of show this codependency that we have, because this person keeps on acting this way, they act sorry, we then attempt to fix or adapt, and then the cycle continues. And the fact that this person is so dysfunctional is giving us almost a sort of purpose for being in this relationship. I'm there to fix his messes. I'm there to clean up after him. This is what I'm here for. And even though I know he'll never change, I'm going to keep on doing it because this makes me feel needed. And I feel like the idea of needing to be needed in your relationship, especially for things that someone should be taking care of themselves, whether it be their personal hygiene or their appointments or even their job. Like it's not your job to be needed for things that somebody else should be taking care of. If they're meant to be looking after themselves, it's not your job to now come in and be like, nope, I'm here to be mum. No, you're not signing up for that role. That's not the role that you should be signing up for. And I think it's really important before you go into any future relationships to think about how maybe sometimes you may have some codependent behaviors. I know for a fact that sometimes I do exhibit them, and I'm trying to I'm trying to unlearn those behaviors.
I feel like what you said, Joel, like applies to both males and females. Like there's guys that go into relationships as well, like, I'm here to play dad. Do you know what I mean? You're not my dad. Like, I need to provide for you. I need to make sure you're on time. I need to make sure you eat. Do you know what I mean? I mean, there's a level of care, which is great. And both ways, there's a level of care that a woman brings to a guy and a level of care that a guy brings to a woman. But when you're making it your job, like, I am needed, like, I need to make sure your finances are in check. I need to make sure that you go to school or go to work on time. I need to make sure that you are fed. Like, well, actually, no, we lived as two individual people before. We existed as two individual people before. I didn't die when I was an individual. You know, I was cool. So it should just be like a joint team, as opposed to like Captain Save-A-Ho in this relationship kind of thing.
I agree. It is hard though.
Yeah, it is hard, especially and in answer to your question about the like, is love blind kind of thing, I feel like the ideology behind love is blind is that you are blinded by your feelings, or you are so distracted by how much you want to be with that person, or how much you feel for that person, that you don't see the flaws, or you don't see things that should be wrong, or you actively choose to ignore them. Yeah, you see them, you actively choose to ignore them, which is not bad in all instances, because in marriages especially, you do sometimes need to turn a blind eye to certain things. You've chosen to be with this person for better, for worse, and there's some things that may irritate you, may annoy you, will annoy you. I mean, spending a long time with anyone can be irritating in itself, talk less of habits, you know, that both of you been brought up differently, or even made similarly, but there's things that will get on your nerves and things that will get on his nerves, and sometimes you do need to turn a blind eye for that relationship to work. However, when you're starting off and turning a blind relationship to everything, that is actually
especially
a red flag. Exactly, especially the red flags. Turning, you know, a blind eye to the red flags to be in a relationship with this person, that's
deceiving yourself.
Exactly, and that's why we kind of deem it as a more unhealthy relationship. Little things, you can let little things go, but you need to be able to differentiate the red flags and the things that are just minor things that you can let go. And I think when you are in love with someone, or have a lot of feelings to them, it's very hard to switch on and off, or separate what is little or what's minor and what is a red flag. Because your tunnel vision is just like, my goal and my aim is to want to be with this person. I love them, and therefore I'll accept everything and anything that comes from them. And I mean, I'm not saying that people that love like that is bad, because you have a big heart, you want to accept everything, and it's lovely, but at the same time, how good is it?
I think no, it's not good. I think at the end of the day, you need to, I know we were talking about, so we touched on self-love a bit earlier on. If your heart is that big, you need to extend some of that love to yourself as well. Because in order for you to love somebody else, you need to love yourself first. And I think you also need to remember as well that if that person, I think you kind of know if a person is going to be for you or not. And it's important to be realistic about situations. I'm not necessarily saying that that's an easy thing to do, because God knows when feelings are involved, everything gets blurred. But if you try to remain as realistic as possible, I'm not saying so much as you should wait for the other shoe to drop, but you're just being realistic. And then another thing is God. Like, you have to trust that God's got someone who really is for you. Like, I've had friends who are like out there now, and they're like engaged to people that they didn't even see themselves with. They were like, these guys, I wrote them off, I friend zoned them, and those are the ones they're now engaged to, that like chose to stick around and were persistent and were like, no, I'm gonna marry you, you're the one I see myself being with. I'm not necessarily saying that's the kind of energy you need to look out for, but you kind of need to be looking for somebody who's ready to cut all the wishy-washiness out of the way and just be straight with you. You don't want someone who's going to be putting some cotton wool in front of your eyes. You've already got rose tinted glasses on. Why do you want more cotton wool in front of your eyes? At that point, you're going to crash and burn, my friend. So it's like, it's just a case of knowing where you're at yourself. Don't put yourself out there. Even though, like, don't you yourself, I said, don't come with wishy-washy. Don't put out wishy-washy either, because nobody wants any of that mess. You sit down at home and you keep to yourself and you read about self-love books if that's what you need to do. Don't bring your higgy hagger to somebody else the same way you don't want somebody else to bring their higgy hagger to you. If you know you want to be in a relationship with somebody, look for people that want to be in relationships. Don't go looking for a guy who says he's not sure, he doesn't know what he wants, because you're just, again, inviting trouble into your life. Hence why I say you need to know what it is you want, and you need to be looking for somebody who wants that same energy that you do. If you don't find that person, leave them be. They are not for you, no matter how good looking he is, no matter how tall he is, no matter how built he is, no matter how deep his voice is. Leave him be.
Amen, sister friend.
A whole gospel. But yeah, like I do think what's it called, just to I guess round up and whatnot, I think sometimes we talked a little bit about self-love and the fact that some of the reasons why we act in the way that we do is because it comes from places of insecurity. And I think self-love as itself can be a very abstract concept and can be difficult for people to sort of like articulate in their minds. But I think it starts off simple, and it starts off with this: having self-compassion for yourself. And all that really means is allowing yourself to be kind to yourself. So if you can identify that actually I've been saying unkind things to myself, or I've been allowing people to say unkind things to me, and I actually want that to change, then that could be the first step. Be like, actually, maybe in that you begin to stand up for yourself. Actually, I don't like the way you speak to me. I don't like it that you say unkind things to me, or even telling yourself, you better stop talking to yourself. I need to stop talking to myself like that because I know it hurts my feelings. Mm-hmm. The first thing with self-love is just having that self-compassion, because I think it's real self-compassion that allows you to realize slowly that in being kind to yourself that you deserve better, and you always have deserved better. But the first thing you need to do is show a little bit of that kind of love to yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Agreed, 100%. I think all of you guys have said some really strong points. And I think my takeaways is sometimes you do need to switch up the glasses, and it's nice to have rose-colored glasses if you have a big heart. But similar to what Julie said, if you're not kind to yourself, or if you're not focused even on what your goals are and what you want, and you don't find people, like Fee said, that have the same goals as to what you have, then honey, you need to switch those rose-colored glasses to some clear-colored ones. Focus well, see well, do yourself well, and make sure you're on a straight road before you welcome those rose-colored glasses, because once you've got them on, it's so difficult to take them off, and pulling yourself away from that situation is so hard, and definitely, it does have a knock-on effect to your next coming relationships or whatever situation you find yourself in next. So it's nice to have rose-colored glasses, but child, make sure you see well.
You better go Specsavers, get your prescription checked regularly too, because obviously you're damn blind, you don't even know.
You blind, child. You blind. It's not.
But if you work for the NHS, you can get them free. So.
Okay.
I didn't know that. Okay, you know what? Cool. All
right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, join us next time. If you have not listened to any of the rest of the videos, please check them out. It's 92 Diaries. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We out there. Spotify, you can listen. You can listen on Anchor. We're on all platforms. iTunes as well. So yeah, tune in, guys. We'll see you next time. Deuces.
Bye. Love you.